Okay, next up, I'll go over the USD JPY, and let's dive in. Okay, just going to, I'm going to take a quick peek at the monthly real quick. Okay, so that's kind of like my habit. Okay, good that I did that. So, monthly chart, USD, JPY. What's to know real quick? Okay, so here's where Donald Trump took office, right? Had a huge explosion in price. But what does that mean for right now? The reason why I bring that up is because we actually have a Fibonacci retracement, 61.8. Again, this is from my perspective, from that Donald Trump low here, where it was also it was a monthly low, tested, retested, weekly low, tested, retested, held, and then it rallied up. And then we, as you can see, I'm on a monthly chart. This was where that ultimate high was kind of put in after that. And so I actually have a Fibonacci retracement from that low to this high being up. And what's kind of funny is that we do have that 61.8 being respected, right? Now, that was 2 months ago. So the past, well, I should say a month and a half ago. And what happened was it did kind of close on a monthly reversal to the upside, and we did get followed through, but then we have like a dual monthly reversal to the downside, and that was last month. And so far this month, we've kind of in the yen, which you will see on the weekly and daily time frame, we've kind of been ranging a bit lower. Ranging a bit up and down, but kind of more remaining on the lower side of things. That's what I meant. And I did have a monthly low from last month put in at about 110.24. 110.24, just remember that, and that's where you have that kind of doji break below. So just remember the price of 110.24, the key takeaway from the monthly, and also this Fibonacci 61.8 retracement. This is a monthly time frame, right? So this is a pretty strong. If that does hold, I will explain in more detail as I drop down to the smaller time frames. So the two takeaways is that fib, and then the second takeaway is that price of 10.24, which is going to play a major part, at least from my technical analysis perspective. Okay, now on the weekly time frame, right? So just remember that we are trading below, kind of settling. The moves that we're getting in the USD JPY based on the weekly time frame is in a downtrend, right? Now it's battling that downtrend potentially, right? If this is going to hold out, but I'm trying to remain quick without going into too much detail, but then also letting you know like really what's kind of happening, at least from my perspective, on the yen. So we do have lower lows and lower highs being put in. I can draw circles here, 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 bang, 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 up, down, and it's making lower lows, lower highs. Even this right here. So it was respecting that channel. We did poke a little higher out of it, but then it never made a new kind of weekly higher high or anything like that. Put in its own little weekly level here, and then now we're continuing that leg down. Now this circle ellipse right here, if this USD JPY is going to continue with its bearish momentum based on kind of the monthly and also the weekly here, because we are in a downward wave, right? Inside of a context of higher, I keep saying that, lower lows, lower highs scenarios. The lower high being here. This could be a potential lower low if that monthly low is going to break, if that fib is going to break, etc. Now we don't have that just yet. Even this week, I bring that up because so far right now, the way that last week closed, the USD JPY is kind of should be showing signs, at least potentially, of a little bit more of a base in here before it wants to move. If we get a break above this kind of weekly doji, right? But even if we do get a break above this weekly doji next week, we are coming into weekly highs, and even that, even that should be able to potentially hold to see if it would continue down here. So just be careful in the USD JPY, because we did have a nice strong reaction out of this weekly low, because I'm on the weekly time frame here, with this nice big explosion in price on that weekly. It opened, it didn't even wick down lower at all, and then it just literally just went straight up. As you can see here, you can obviously see that candle. So we did have the takeaway from the weekly is this kind of doji closing, right? So just be careful of a pop to the upside. But again, that 1024 pricing on that monthly time frame, if we start to trade back below that, that monthly kind of doji reversal to the downside is going to be playing back in effect. So the bulls and the bears are kind of going at it. Just be careful here. The momentum is more to the downside just because of the weekly lower, high, lower, low scenario. I got it right that time, in which this case could be a potential target on the weekly. But again, that's more kind of swing talk. For the day, we just have to be careful of the pop higher, which I'm going to go down to the daily. And then, of course, this thing could just obviously just continue down to the downside, which is quite obvious if you're just looking at the weekly time frame, right? Okay, so take a breath here. Open up the USD JPY on the daily. And again, I draw everything from the weekly and monthly onto my daily chart. So that's kind of what you see here, and I just went through that. And kind of what we have here on the daily is kind of just more of a, sorry, I keep moving it here. We do have a correctional kind of move up, but again, this is now that weekly high that was put in, and now this is a weekly doji. So this is a wick. This is all wick. Now we could get a pop above if we make a new high, and we pop from last week's high, which is basically just Friday's high. If Friday's high gets taken out with some kind of authority, you know, go long USD JPY, why not? With this upward momentum, just take it to the next level, but we just have to be careful because this is a weekly high here, followed by another weekly high here. And again, in the context of the weekly of a lower high, lower low scenario. I got it right again for the second time. Awesome. But again, if we start to get some breaks, when I'm going to go to the smaller time frame, I'll kind of show you that more. So for the daily, it's kind of not, it could go either way. And again, that's still kind of, I don't like to say that, but a long, I'll have no problem taking the long if we take Friday's high out up into these levels. And for the short, I'm going to have to go to the smaller time frame. And let's kind of just go there. So here's my setup that I'm going to get to right after this, real quick. Right before I show you, I've been kind of trading kind of this upward momentum, this kind of upward channel. And I can prove that to you here. If I just bring up the, oops, let me take that back out a little bit here. So I shorted right here, or I shorted up here. I don't even want to get into that. I shorted up here. I took profit on here, and then I ended up getting just stopped out on that one. And then the next day I got in here, right here long, and I took that USD JPY right up here from the 38s. If we just get that from 38s, and I just started to take profit up here, and I was, you know, late Friday, I just got all out of that position. So I kind of just wanted to show you that Friday position, and I managed to kind of almost, I took a very small loss on the USD JPY on Thursday, taking profit, selling short, taking profit here. I'm just trying to be quick with you guys, and then getting stopped out of the remainder because I tightened up my stop because I was against that momentum. But it was showing a little bit of bearish pressure up on closer to the higher end of that channel, and it was also a 4 level here. I took some profits, but it just ended up, of course, going back to the upside, taking me out. And then the next day, it was a new day. I just easily went long in that market. Okay, now, so what does that mean going forward for kind of the setup? Just like I said, if we go higher, we have no problem taking out that new kind of this Friday high, which is also now this is all a wick on the weekly. So if we do start to just continue higher, then great. We should get some, at least, you know, some push, people getting stopped out, taking it up to potentially that next weekly level. But notice what I have here. I have that kind of channel drawn on a 30-minute time frame, and I'm going to be looking potentially to maybe even start to accumulate some longs early in the session for USD JPY to maybe potentially take it up to that level, and then add on up here if we do get that break, depending on what the price action is going to be telling me at that time. As you can see, even over here, you know, I tighten up. As a day trader, you need to be fairly quick, you know, so I tighten up and all that. But if you want to see me do this live, just you know, go into that free trial mode. You can see me do this live. But again, the two setups that I'm kind of looking at for the USD JPY is either just a continuation long, which I'll see what it looks like up here and just add in for that weekly break higher. Or if we start to just go lower, being the weekly, having that higher, that lower, low, lower, high scenario, I have no problem trading back below here. hitting that sell short, of course, breaking this trend and just going back down lower with it. I don't expect a lot to happen on Friday because of just kind of the setup with my experience. I know I just said that on YouTube. Now it may just explode out, but I'm not, I'm just going to really figure out and be patient and just trade what I see above or below kind of this trend line, using it as a guide. So again, okay, so that's USD, JPY from the smaller time frame kind of execution, and the higher time frame, just be careful with that weekly doji there. We do have a little bit of sell pressure coming down here for a trend line break if that is going to go that way. Okay.